But now let's go to the other team that more shockingly got eliminated and definitely has some questions coming up in this offseason. That is the Phoenix Suns. They lose to the Dallas Mavericks. Probably the most astonishing part is, as Devin Booker said afterwards, it was an ass whooping. Plain simple, beat off the court. Chris Paul had a horrible game. Just no one really had a good game for the Suns. But now with DeAndre Ayton, they never reached an extension. That wasn't really on the forefront throughout the basketball year, but now is a big question for the Suns. Do you pay him? Do you not? And then Chris Paul is always the questions. He's getting up there in age. Do you still stick with him? Apparently, Devin Booker also may be eligible for a Supermax if he makes an All-NBA team. A lot of questions. What are your thoughts on the Suns, Sean?
Tough part for the Suns here is that DeAndre Ayton wants that max contract. And no offense to DeAndre Ayton, but he just has not played like a player that deserves it, in my opinion. And I think that's sort of the consensus opinion of most people. The weird part is I think he has the talent to have it, but I'm feeling like if they did it, I'm going to get some Andrew Wiggins vibes of like, he's very talented and he's going to have some great moments, but he's going to have some bad moments. But for most of the time that he's being paid that money, it just is never really going to feel like he's earning it. And I think that's where the Suns are at too. After the game, they asked Monty Williams why he only played, I think it was like 17 minutes on the night. In a very stern voice, he responded, "It's internal." That was it. Didn't say anything else.
Played 17 minutes tonight, and so he didn't play most of the fourth quarter. Is there any reason why? Is he hurt or
it's internal?
Coach,
I'm wondering if maybe there's some locker room stuff that's going on. Maybe these negotiations have sort of bled over into the stuff on the court. Typically, players try to stay out of that stuff with each other. But, I mean, you never know. If he brought that in, it could have changed the dynamic there. But I think the interesting part for Phoenix is that, honestly, most of their roster is still locked up for next year. That doesn't mean they can't be flexible. The guys that are under contract next year, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Bridges, Jay Crowder, Landry Shamet, Dario Saric, Cameron Payne, Cameron Johnson, Torrey Craig. So, I mean, for the most part, most of their team is still intact, but I think they need changes. Chris Paul is not getting any younger. And this was a question that we even asked last year after the finals loss was, do you keep Chris Paul? I think the answer was obviously yes, because losing him, you could go back to being potentially even missing the playoffs because that's what they were before Chris Paul. But now all of a sudden you got Chris Paul locked in. So who's going to be that third piece next to Booker and CP3? And I guess fourth piece, if you include Mikal Bridges. I don't know if DeAndre Ayton's going to be that piece. I think that he's a great player, and for the right price, they should keep him. But honestly, I'm assuming that he's probably going to be leaving. I don't know if there's going to be some sort of sign-in trade or something. That'd be best case scenario for Phoenix. But if he just walks, I don't know what Phoenix does here. I don't know how they get better.
I'm not sure like exactly the cap number they would have free. Once again, also depends if Booker gets that Supermax. That might complicate things in terms of adding more outside talent, potential free agents, especially big man. There's like Thomas Bryant, but he's had a couple ACL injuries. He was looking like, at least first couple years, like a solid 3 and rim protector type guy. But once again, hasn't been healthy. Maybe a Derek Favors, but once again, kind of older and not that great of a shooter. Yeah, the options are definitely limited in terms of big men. Other than that, there's like Ibaka, Zubac, maybe Mo Bamba, but I imagine the Magic, they have his bird right, so I imagine he's not going anywhere. Only other name I saw was Yusuf Nurkic. I mean, maybe a little bit better of a rim protector than DeAndre Ayton, but Ayton does provide more offensively, I think, too. So it just depends on, I guess, what these guys are asking for. I don't mean to pat myself on the back here, but I did mention when they traded Jalen Smith, who I know he's had some solid moments after the trade, and had some solid moments this year, too. He was kind of their tweener 4/5 that, you know, was looking like he can be a solid piece over in Indiana. Trade him for a win now moment. Torrey Craig
in this series really didn't play much. Game 4, he didn't even play, but it was due to an injury. Game 5, he played 4 minutes. Game 6, he played 15 minutes. Game 7, he was back down to 4 minutes. So he wasn't really making much of an impact in this series. Just he wasn't really even getting on the court. And now if you're going to lose Ayton, you lose Jalen Smith, who he had some really good moments in Indiana. Now they're a terrible team. There wasn't necessarily much emphasis on winning, but in his short sample size of 22 games there, he averaged 13 points, 7 rebounds, 1 block per game. He was shooting 76% from the free throw line, 37% from the three-point line on 4 3-point attempts per game, and 53% from the field overall. I think that was a really encouraging bit of production from him, and that's a guy that you traded for Torrey Craig, who at the time I thought, who cares? Because I assumed that Ayton was probably going to be a lock to stay. So you never know what's going to happen with the guys behind him. But now all of a sudden that comment of it's internal is making me wonder what's going on back there. Something's going on and we don't know what it is. There's just not a lot of great options to really fix it.